many of you might recall a couple weeks ago, I had to stay home because, can you guys keep it down out there? We're on the radio. Kidding. Not that angry. I'm a little, yeah. Anyway, so some of you will recall a couple weeks ago, I had to be out. I wasn't able to be in studio because my father had a heart attack and pulmonary edema and got a gash in his head, and he's doing fine. And thank you all who've written and asked how he is. He's doing great. Anyway, this week, my co-host, Mr. Tom Mongelli, the famous comedian, is not feeling well. So, unfortunately for all of you, I'm sorry. It's me. But more importantly, it's more than me. The world-renowned Chip Cooney will be calling in and talking to us about his life in comedy. And as you know, Funny Talk is dedicated to talking about, well, mostly comics that Tom and I love. And among the comics we love is Chip Cooney. I was honored to be on a radio show with him for almost 2 years. So, and got to know Chips personally, and I love his act. I love him. He America's Got Talent finalist. So he's doing, anyway, everybody around here knows him and loves him, so we're very eager and pleased to have him on. Want to also thank a great friend of the show, Jack Hoffman of J. Irwin Productions. If you need a comedy show produced, please look up J. Irwin Productions. You'll see his Facebook page, J. Irwin Productions. And Jack is a wonderful person to work with, and he puts on wonderful shows. And one day, one of his shows will be so wonderful that I'll be on it. I know. I feel that day is coming. I think it's going to be a Tuesday, but we'll find out. Anyway, so the beginning of our show was going to be me and Tom chatting with one another. And since Tom is a really good friend and he has not called in yet, I think he's napping. He wasn't feeling well. So, can we all join together, hold spiritual hands, and wish him the best of luck? Okay? They're doing... Tom, are you feeling the vibrations going out to you from your friends in the studio? That's a lot of hands. I'm counting 2. 2 hands from the same person. That's how much people in the studio care about you, Tom. So get better and wake up. Let's see. We don't have a theme song because, among other technical problems in the studio, they lost their computer and thus the ability to play our song. So I don't think you want you don't want to hear me sing. Anybody want to hear me sing opera?
I can sing opera. No.
Can you? What do you know? Do you know La Donna Mobile? La Donna Mobile, qual più al vento, muta. How about the Ave Maria?
I know Ave Maria.
You want to sing Ave Maria with me?
I can do a little. I don't know how sharp I'm going to get.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen,
Really.
DJ Danny.
You got to turn my mic on.
Okay, we're going to do this for 30 seconds. We're just wasting time. Come on, get to a mic. Okay.
Oh, shit.
Sing Ave, Ave Maria. All right, thank you. Oh my God. Okay, that's enough for you. That
Hun,
hurt.
I trained when I was 9, so.
Oh my God. Wow.
I wanted to be one.
Wow.
But that wasn't screaming. That was actually good vocals.
It sounded loud to me, but I have the mic turned up because I'm deaf in one ear. I don't know why I have both. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could start your show.
I'm going to remember. Yeah, that was great.
When I'm here, no problem.
That was like a mini aria, I believe. A mini aria? So, one of the things Tom and I wanted to talk about was our... Can you guys keep it down? We're on the radio. Jeez. What studio are they running here? Oh my God, there's only one of you that's professional. 2, and the opera singer. The rest, 3. Okay, 3 of you. Tom and I were going to speak about our upcoming comedy, and since Tom Tom isn't here. I'm going to speak about my comedy. I had a great weekend of comedy. Thursday night, I got to perform on stage with Gilbert Gottfried. So I was really honored, and I had a really, really good set. It wasn't perfect, but it was really, really good. But who made up for it was the audience. And they were almost too good. I don't mean to sound this is going to sound bad or braggadocious, but I don't mean it that way. But they couldn't let me get through a sentence. I would say 3 words, and they'd laugh. They were laughing every place where somebody could possibly laugh. And I've never had that in comedy. Normally, they'll fade in and out, and they'll get every other phrase. But this audience was, every few words. So I was like reflecting on my comedy act and wondering, do I need to get some of the laughs out of it? What do you think, audience? Should I get some of the... Yeah, who? What? I can't hear. What? Okay. He was obliging. Anyway, I'm thinking of getting rid of some of the smaller laughs and hopefully getting some bigger ones. Anyway, that was Gilbert Gottfried. And then last night I got to perform at one of my favorite rooms, Tierney's Tavern in Montclair, run by the wonderful Pat Grion, who's a wonderful impresario of comedians, and she's been producing shows there for 12 years. Last night was the anniversary show. I don't know what I did the first 5 minutes, but I was talking to a woman who had a wonderful laugh, who happened to be the mother of one of the comics. I loved it. I had a great set. I'd never done the material before. I brought out a new piece I call My Father's. I can't ruin it. Then I can't. I don't think I told this story. I'm not going to tell this story. It might offend some people without enough history. But it's really fun. You should come and see me doing comedy. Speaking of which, Tom and I are both going to be doing comedy this Thursday night at the Old Canal Inn in Nutley. And the show begins at some time. I'm sure it begins at some time. I believe it begins at 8 o'clock. So I'm just going to scroll this is on the radio, so it doesn't matter that I'm doing distracted things. I'm sure we have 2 or 3 people watching on Facebook, wondering when I'm going to sing. Here we are. What time is the show? Starts at 7:30 this night at the Old Canal Inn. And the host, Francesco Palladino, will be calling in later on tonight to talk about what he's doing. Yes. So, okay. So I only have to do 6 minutes of stuff here, without my co-host. Now I'm feeling bad. Now I'm really worried about Tom.
You want to do prayer?
Do I want to what?
You want to do prayer?
No, but if he calls in, don't connect him, because now I'm upset with him.
Why are you upset with him?
He's my partner.
Oh, so
He didn't call. He didn't write. I knew he was sick. He didn't get a lot of sleep last night.
Yes, you just feel lonely without your partner.
I do. You know something? Let's talk about partnership. Because I know there are a lot of people out there looking for love. So let's shift to the serious side of Funny Talk and talk about partnership. And I don't think a lot of people know what it means to be a partner, but I am very lucky to have a girlfriend that has taught me all the things that I've been doing wrong in my partnerships with other people. So are you in a partnership with someone?
I'm single right
Let's go through the room. Who's in a partnership?
now.
Danny?
I think it's just you, Gina.
Miserable and married.
Okay, so I'm going to give some tips to the audience on finding your life mate. Number 1, do things that make you happy. Because if you're not happy, why would anybody else be happy with you? If you can't make yourself... People don't want a burden. Make yourself happy. Am I right? That's number 1. Number 2, when a woman suggests something very politely to you, that's her polite way of telling you what to do. And then you have a choice to make. Shut up and do it? Or, I don't know, pick. when I got married, the night before I got married, I had all my friends were there, and they were all married except for me. And I asked each one to give me a piece of advice they had learned from their marriage. So one of them said, pick your battles. And I thought that was good advice. And another friend said, you're going to lose, so do so gracefully. 20 years later, I'm still very good friends with the guy who told me to pick your battles. 20 years later, I got very angry at him. I said, when you told me to pick your battles, why didn't you finish that sentence and say, you're not going to win any, but, pick them. Anyway, so that's another piece of advice. Let's see. So what did I talk about? Why was my set so funny the other night? I don't know. I'm feeling like... So this woman was really, really being distracting for like 5 or 6 minutes. And I finally stopped her. And I said, I really appreciate your distracting me, because otherwise I was going to begin my set by saying my father was a slave. And it's not many people that can say that. And she's like, oh, somebody's going to get angry at you and throw you out. I'm like, no, my father was a slave. So you guys know the story? My father was captured in World War II. He was made a Nazi slave laborer. He was made to sleep out on German roads and the side of the roads in a German winter repairing railroad tracks. Yep. Celebrated his 95th birthday last week. Happy birthday, Dad. Anyway, so he had a heart attack a month ago. 3 weeks ago, he gets home from the hospital and he falls down and he gets a really, really bad gash on his head. He does not want to go back to the hospital. The EMTs come, 2 EMTs come, 2 ambulances, two cops that are EMTs come. So we have like 10 people in the room looking at this gash. He doesn't want to go to the hospital. So I'm looking for signals from the number 1 EMT, and I pick up signals that it wouldn't be a horrible, stupid thing for me to just, seal up the scar. So people don't know this about my father. My sister and I know it, but he can be really irascible and stubborn, and he's got a mission now to speak in New Jersey schools about his wartime experience as part of New Jersey's required Holocaust and genocide education. And New Jersey is one of very few states that require that kind of education. Anyway, so for those of you who don't believe the Holocaust happened, my father was in the neighborhood of it at the time. Anyway, the speaking had really become harder and harder for him as he got older, and after the heart attack it was even harder. But he still wanted to speak, but I thought it was dangerous for him. He falls and he gets this horrible gash on his head, and he wants me to seal it up. And as I'm sealing up the scar with the butterfly bandages and trying to do the best I can, not being a doctor, I realize that this laceration might very well end up looking like a swastika. Sounds horrible. It's better if I'm doing stand-up comedy and telling that story. But so the ladies from the Holocaust Council have been coming to talk to my dad about him speaking at schools. And I'm thinking when they see the swastika, they're probably not going to get him involved too much. That's a horrible story. But my father was really a slave, so I hope you'll forgive some of my darker sense of humor. What else? Okay. So this is really kind of funny. For years I thought it would be interesting to have a podcast, and now that I have one all by myself. Are there any calls, by the way? Keep your eyes out for. We're expecting one pretty soon, I hope. Okay, they're looking. Do I have somebody? Somebody on the air with me?
It's Chips Coon.
Oh my God, Chips! Thank God you called in. How are you, Chips?
All right, I didn't forget. I almost forgot, but I didn't forget. I had it written down, just running around a lot. How's everybody doing?
Well, everybody right now is doing great, but everybody happens to be me. Tom is not feeling well tonight, Chips. So it's me and you. We're going to talk about whatever you would like to talk about. For as long as you can muster.
It's all right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Is he? Huh?
I'm
Go
looking
ahead.
forward
Yeah.
to it. Listen, I've already given a little introduction to you, but let me give another introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Chip Cooney, America's Got Talent finalist. A really, I want to call you a close friend, Chips. We were on the radio together for,
That was
2
fun.
years.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I'm sorry it all fell apart at the end, because I really thought it was something.
I don't know what the hell was that about.
Well, I have some
John
theories.
still works there.
Yeah,
You know, he's. Go ahead.
I was going to say I really don't follow his career anymore. We had a we had a falling out. I'll put it that way.
No, boy, that usually happens. I had that with two of my friends, too.
Yeah.
We don't talk anymore. That happens in this business.
You know something? I've been really once I learn someone isn't my kind of person, whatever that means, I distance myself. And it was hard to distance myself from him because I loved doing the show, you know. But
Yeah.
But
sometimes that happens. You got to be happy yourself, and if something's happening and you're trying real hard to make something happen and it doesn't happen, then you got to let go. What the hell else are you going to do?
Yeah, and he wasn't reliable. So we don't know. We haven't said who we're talking about, so I'll say that much. But
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
he wasn't, and you know, there are a lot of people that love this industry and work really really hard at it. You're one of them. I'd like to say I'm one of them. I maybe have to work harder than you, Chips. But you know, there are people you see that really love doing what they're doing, and I love associating myself with people like that. So.
Well, we're just trying to make more money. That's all. It's pretty hard.
It
You
is.
know,
It is. And you wish it was as simple as making people laugh, but there's a lot behind the scenes, isn't there?
Well, the register, that's all the owner goes by. You can be the funniest guy in the world, and if the register's not ringing, and you know, and then you can be not funny and the register's ringing. That's what the owner goes by. He's worried, he's worried about his club.
Yeah, well, and you know, the other is the producer, because there are a few that really do a wonderful job about really producing a show from soup to nuts, and they get the audience, and they're not asking the comics to do that work, and they're recognizing, you know, the talent is talent.
Yeah, well, some are like that, some aren't.
Yeah, no, and there are a lot. Everybody wants you to bring an audience, you know. Everybody expects Doug Max to have, you know, 2 people throng into the room. Anyway,
That's
you know,
what they want.
Chips, I wanted to ask you I'll just back up a little bit. As part of the Watson show, you always used to do an imitation. You always used to pick a character. It was Buzz Aldrin's brother, or I think, weren't you like Jesus's brother who invented the sandal, or something? I don't know, something like that.
No. I was the salesman for sandals for the 12 disciples.
That's good. You sell more sandals with the disciples than Jesus. Yeah.
I was the sandal salesman.
Do you have a date when you started doing comedy?
Did I what?
Do you remember what year did you start doing comedy?
I would say I started to do open mics in '79 in the Jersey area. And one night I'm doing the open mic in Jersey. I forgot the name of the place. And who walks in? Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Whitey Ford, and Billy Martin. I don't know where the hell where they came from. But, you know, it was like, holy God, look who's here. And I went down and sat next to Mickey. I was so excited, Doug, I called him Mickey Rivers.
Okay, that's pretty exciting.
I was all fucked up too, drinking and all, and he was, he just smiled, Doug.
That's funny.
He didn't get mad or nothing. He just smiled and gave a little chuckle. That's the kind of guy he was.
Yeah. Well, listen, a guy like that should be very confident because he's got skills. I know people get upset about stuff like that. It doesn't bother me. But good,
from
good
Oklahoma.
So wait a minute.
Now he's in New York.
Was this a night you were doing comedy? You got to perform for these guys?
I think I was already off the stage.
Oh.
Yeah. It was like you come in and you did something. There was no pay or nothing. I think I always remember that night because the four of them together, I almost fell over. What the hell were they doing around there, around Jersey?
Wow.
But I think 79 was the first time I started doing it.
That's, let's see, a year after I graduated high school. I was 19 at the time, I guess. A long time ago.
Well, I was playing in a band, and the leader of the band said, "Chips, you're making Frank laugh." Frank was the piano player. Never laughed. He said, "If you can make Frank laugh, you can make anybody laugh." He says, "Why don't you get 5 minutes together? I got my own thing going," he said, in a couple of weeks at a certain club. He says, "Come in and you can do, I'll let you do 5 minutes." And
wow.
That's what I did.
Wow.
And that was a rough, I invited everybody because I was bartending too at the same time. And I invited them all. Now, only one guy laughed. 2 guys laughed, and that was it. Everybody else was just interested in picking up girls that were there and everything else.
Well, listen, you got 2 more laughs than I got my first open mic. I remember my first open mic, Johnny Hollywood's open mic at the Blaze. We were up there. That beautiful bar. Remember the Blaze?
Oh God.
Yeah. So my first open mic, and this is really early in. I remember I didn't get any reaction at all. Everybody was talking and they were looking at notes. They were being cool in the back. And I drove home really discouraged. But the second time I went there, I drove home thinking, I didn't get any laughs, but people weren't talking this time. They were quiet. So I figured I had improved dramatically. So that honestly, that kept me going.
Well, what happens when you're doing an open mic and the customers are not paying anything? They sort of don't respect you. How good can these guys be if they're not getting paid? You gotta set it up. You gotta tell the audience these are professional comedians, and they come here to work out new material.
Yep.
When you say that, then they listen to you. But if you go up there and say, they just came in, they're gonna try some new stuff. You gotta build up. Even an open mic, you got to be extra a little bit.
But the comics. I'm sorry, but even a lot of the shows that I'm on, I'm not that impressed with a lot of the comics. And it's honestly, it's a lot comes down to work ethic. In all honesty, and they get up, they can. It's like I'm going to go to an open mic to entertain myself, and that's okay as a starting point. But
Well. I just came from Nikki's. I do that on Tuesdays.
Where is that?
It's in Little Ferry.
Nice.
Dave Durkin runs it.
Okay, how was that?
It's pretty good. I don't go to Mario's anymore. It's just too far, and it starts too late. Dave starts at 8:30. I'm up first. I'm out of there by 9.
You're good for you.
I don't want the other comics to think I'm rude and leave, but that's the way it is. I just want to get out. I've been out all day. I'm not there to look for comics and to sign them up and book them because I don't do that. And it's a pretty good place. It's nice. It's small.
Listen, they're lucky to have you there. They're lucky.
Yeah,
he
put me up first, and I wonder how many people get pissed off that I leave early. How many comics? But I'm not going to hang around.
Well,
I did all already.
Chips, if a comic is getting angry because you leave early, you don't care about them. They should
I don't know if they are or
listen.
not. Yeah.
Well, listen, they're. I'm sorry, but they're getting to see you, and for any listener who hasn't seen you perform, please look up Chips Cooney and see him. You've got to see him. You've got to see him at least twice before you leave this earth, because you got to see both versions of his act, because they're both equally funny and very different, but they're they're both incredible. Um, anyway, so the people at an open mic should really be they should be grateful that you're there, Chips, and I'm sure any decent comic is, because there's
Well, I'm doing all new things when I'm there. I don't do my regular act. Like tonight, I did for the first time Vito Corleone, The Godfather.
of course.
I did him as a comedian.
Oh no. So, would you care to do a repeat?
Well, I had the jaws. I put this cotton in my mouth, and it's a visual besides talking. Then I also do a new thing. I started ventriloquism.
Oh,
I tell them I've been doing it for about 6 years now.
Go on.
Then I turn around and I put a beard on. I got a beard that covers my face from the nose down. So when I'm talking, you can't see my mouth moving.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
And I got a shark's head, a small shark's head for the dummy, because it was cheaper to buy. But I got a beard covering my mouth. It's
funny.
a visual. That's funny.
So, Chips,
So
are you going
I
to add
do-
it? Will you add
Go
that
ahead.
to your act?
Well, I'm starting to do the beard thing. Tonight was the first time I did The Godfather as a comedian. I'm going to do it again because I like the way it went. I just got to get some lines. You always have to have lines.
Yeah, what was he? Yeah. Well, he made you an offer you couldn't refuse. That's
Well, I just tell him I got tired of killing people. I want to be funny now. And
so instead of putting horse heads in people's beds, I'm putting horseradish.
yeah, something like that. That's good. Horseradish instead of horse heads. And it wasn't my fault. He didn't want to give Johnny Fontaine anything in the movie. Let's not talk about that. I'm a comedian now.
I love the premise. I love the premise.
He wants to get away from it completely.
Well, I wish Vito all the best.
No.
So I also
Don't
did
forget-
want to ask you
Go ahead.
of all your bits that you've done over the years, and I'm sure you've done some time and time again. Do you have a favorite one?
Oh, not a real favorite. I like them all.
I do too. I thought I was curious, and I was going to ask you also. You have different kind of comedy than I do, so I'm more of a storyteller. So I noticed that I can tell exactly the same story, exactly the same way, and have audiences laugh in totally different places. Are there bits of yours that you've ever been surprised where people laugh or don't? Because I'm trying to think. If there was only one person I ever saw that didn't like your act on America's Got Talent who he had no sense of humor at all. I forget his name. You know his name, but
What's his name?
Pierce.
The guy.
Pierce.
Pierce Morgan.
There you go. Yeah. And
I don't know. I'm not trying to find an excuse for myself, but I think that's part of the thing they do, because he was like that.
It might
about
be
90% of the people. Yeah, you can't have everybody
Simon Cowell is
liking
the same
you.
way. Simon is the same role, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Now,
So
now
it might very well
Tuesday,
be. It might very
next
well be.
Tuesday, I'm going to be on the Gong Show.
So I want to talk about that. And Chips, I wanted to tell you also very quickly, we're having technical difficulties, so nobody else can call in. Johnny McCarthy was going to call in and talk to you about the Gong Show. I don't think we can make that happen. So anyway, sorry, Johnny. We'll make it up to you. Tom Mongelli, my co-host, also can't call in. And I'm sorry I can't do anything about it. Anyway, back to you and the Gong Show. So tell us about that, and we're gonna get you to give promos again at the end. So what do they need to know about the Gong Show to support you?
It was taped in L.A. last month. The only way they can support me is by watching it.
Okay, when's it going to be on?
Next Tuesday, August 2nd, that's my episode, 8 p.m. ABC.
Easy. August 7, 8
No,
p.m.
2nd.
August 2nd, 8 p.m.
Yes, it's a
ABC,
Thursday.
The Gong Show. And is this the first of the new Gong Show?
Second season.
Second season. Shows you how much I follow. Chips, that's great.
No, that's all right. I didn't know either.
That's great. I didn't understand Chuck Barris. I didn't understand Chuck Barris.
I never watched it because
Excuse
I
me
didn't
for
like
one
the way
second.
he was at
Sorry, Chips, I got
covering his eyes.
Can we take another call or no? No. Okay, never mind. No, don't. I don't want to lose Chips. We don't care about anybody else. We're gonna get another call at 10:20, and that's the only one we'll take. Okay. Sorry, Chips. Back to you. So, did you
That's
like
okay.
did you like doing the Gong Show?
Yeah, I went out there and went out there on a Wednesday. They filmed all day Thursday, and I left Friday morning.
They take care of you?
They take care of you. They pay for the hotel. They take care of the flight, the food.
Nice.
I got paid more on the Steve Harvey Forever Young thing because I was out there for over a week. But they do pay you, and exposure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you deserve it.
That's what it's
You
about.
really do.
You want to be seen.
You really do. Yep. I honestly,
You know.
though, I want to be famous, but I want to be obscure because I want to be able to go out of the house without, the paparazzi attacking me. I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that, though.
Don't worry about it. You
I'm
just
not
go
gonna-
out and if they attack you, they attack you. What the hell's the difference?
I'm pretty quick. They'll go,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to wear ourselves out running after that guy. I'll kill my back, but anyway,
No.
so Chips, so again, people don't know this, before you were a comedian, you were a drummer.
I still drum. In fact, I'm drumming Friday and Saturday this week.
That's great. So when did you start drumming? How old were you?
Oh, God, I played the guitar first. I actually started drumming at a later age. I was around 19.
Okay.
And
And so that's been
I
ever
put
since.
a lot of time I put into the drums. A lot of practicing I did.
Do you ever pick up a guitar anymore? You still play?
Guitar, oh, Jesus, don't get me sick. My father got me a guitar, a Les Paul model. He bought me in the 50s.
Yeah, that's worth 50,000 now. Yeah.
It's worth $20,000, and I sold it in 1975 for $500.
If only you knew.
I didn't know. I
people
didn't
didn't
need the
think like
money.
that back then.
I had money. My wife and I, we both worked. We had no kids. I don't know why I did that. I have no idea where my mind was.
Yeah.
People do crazy things when they don't know where their mind is. They kill, they rob banks, they do all crazy things. My mind was, I don't know why I sold that guitar. I don't know why. I didn't need the money. I put an ad in the paper. Village Voice. I put $500 cashier's check.
Well, Chips, back in that day, $500 was a lot of money,
But today, I
that's a day of
Googled it.
dollar
just again.
gasoline, dollar gasoline back then.
Well, I don't
Well,
even know how much was $500
I'm sorry to
back
hear
then.
about it. My son picked up guitar, and I think he bought like it wasn't a Les Paul, it was something like that, but a Chinese version, so, a lot less expensive, in a modern one. And
Well,
then
they got new things today different than it was back then.
Yeah.
Sometimes I watch by accident maybe a TV thing, a rock band or something, and I see a guitar like mine there in the band, gold, same thing.
I
Might
watch
even be my guitar.
I
Who knows?
watch Pawn Stars all the time, and Les Paul customs come in, not and they have their
Yeah.
guitar expert come in, and oh, it was owned by so and so. Oh well, it's normally 10,000, but because it was owned by this guy, it's 50, or whatever. So
I do a bit on Pawn Stars in my act that goes over pretty good. I do a thing like, to make it short. Guy comes in, what is it? What is this? Gene, Roy Rogers, so short. This is Roy Rogers' shirt. I said, wow, that's great. And they said, his horse, right? Trigger. I said, yeah. He said, just as famous. Well, this is Trigger's horse droppings.
I remember you doing that one time. I wonder if you did that on our show. I don't know.
I don't know, but I dropped the SHIT to. I used to do a horse SHIT.
Yeah.
I dropped it to horse droppings, and the horse droppings is funnier.
Yeah, and it makes it more accessible, in in a restaurant if
Yeah.
people are eating.
Yes.
That's
yes,
the other
it took
thing.
me a year.
I don't understand comedy now. So much of comedy is just getting a reaction from people by being vile and disgusting. And I'm sure you've seen that if you've been to open mics or even heard another comment. But and it's I
That's
don't
what
understand. If you wanna be a comic in a restaurant or any kind of venue where people are eating, which is a lot of them, don't be vile and disgusting. Yes, I'm talking to you. You know who I'm talking to. Sorry. Not
Yeah,
you,
well,
Chips.
that's what happened on Tuesday nights where I go now in Little Ferry. They had comics going up there, dirty as hell. I can't even say the words. And the owner said, we can't have those comics back here anymore.
Oh, well, good.
They're too dirty.
Listen, there's so
They're
many
disgusting.
rooms. There's so many rooms around too, and everybody. I hate to say it because I'm getting frustrated because listen, I'm behind the ball. I started when I was 57, I guess, 56. So I'm 62 now. So I'm 6-7 years in, and maybe I'll get lucky. You never know. But I'm not. I'm just doing it. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So.
Well, you just got to keep going, and you never know what the Duke Ellington, the famous legendary band leader, somebody asked him, Duke, did you ever know any musicians that were really great but never became superstars? He says, oh, I knew a lot like that. He said, it's being lucky. He says, playing the right thing in the right place at the right time. He says, it's luck.
And now,
And I always kept that in mind.
yeah, and now the odds are even further against, because again, in the New York area, I don't know if they're 10,000 comics or 100,000 comics or, I'll say 100,000 think they're a comic, but
100,000 and none of them are even getting paid. So I don't even know if you want to call them comics. I don't anymore.
Well, Chips, I'm in 6 or 7 years, and I'm not bragging and saying. I'll say I'm comfortably funnier than half the comics I see in my world, and
I know
I
what you mean.
I make very little money doing it, but listen, for now I figure I'll pretend I'm like 20 and I can afford the time and I'm flying under the radar and I'm getting better, and at some point I'll be undeniable, I hope. So
just do what you feel is funny in your heart. You can't do comedy and just try to go lines. You have to feel it inside you.
I do. Well, I try.
You have to feel that.
Yep.
And you feel that inside you, that's when it works.
I remember speaking with you before one show about that. And that's the, what do they call it? The Stanislav method, too? You have to be, you have to, when you do a character, you're perfectly in character. I need to build more characters. When I get more time, I'm still in the, I'm in around the 10-minute range now. I get featured, but
I have an improv workshop every Sunday.
You mentioned that. Pitch that again. It's Sunday. Where is it?
It's at the Old Canal Inn in Nutley.
Chips, that's where I'm performing this Thursday. I know where. I'm performing there this Thursday. in Nutley.
Oh, you're in that thing they're having? Okay, I
Yeah.
know that. I know
Yeah.
about it.
So what time is your improv class? Sunday,
6 to 8.
6 to 8 at the Old Canal Inn in Nutley, and comics, if you're
20,
listening,
25.
and worth every penny. Comics, if you're
And
listening.
you do characters. There's nothing worked out. There's no script. We do characters right there.
I'm gonna get
if
up
anybody
there. I'm gonna get up there.
around,
My 95-year-old dad, who just had a heart attack, he's just gonna have to understand. He'll have to get by. No, but I
95,
seriously, when you
pretty
mentioned
good.
that, I really want to do it, and I really do. I want to add, I want to prepare for when I get more time, because I do a lot of stories about, people I run into, and I want to have a dialogue with them. And the way I'm telling it now is,
Oh,
you know,
this is helping. I just got an email here. You know the guy who stole my act?
yes,
Well, I got a lot of friends. A lot of people wrote in to
know.
America's Got Talent and about this guy, how he not only stole the act, he stole my props I
Oh,
use
yeah.
and everything else.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I called them up myself. I called up America's Got Talent, the producer that I know from when I was on, and he told me a couple of weeks ago. He says, "Chips, keep watching it. You're going to be happy." And I just got something here on email and said that he just got eliminated in round 2.
Okay, well,
So that means you got it and will not be going forward. That case is now
yeah.
closed.
Okay,
Sleep
well,
well,
I'm glad
my
to hear
friend.
that. I'm glad. Well, I will say though.
So what does that mean? He got eliminated in round 2 and will not be going forward.
Yeah. Well, that's not quite the end of the. That doesn't quite tie the thread together, because between me and you, when I saw that clip, knowing your set as well as I do, my immediate reaction was, how did this guy get on America's Got Talent in the first place? And
You got that right. I can't believe how we passed him.
so, unless he did another act, don't you have to
I don't
perform
know.
the act you're going to do? Don't you have to show them in advance what you're planning on
Yeah,
doing
I
on
don't
air?
know. I don't know what happened, but I complained, and a lot of people, hundreds of friends of mine complained, wrote into them, and that's why he was eliminated without them telling him, "You stole this from Chips Cooney."
It's not
So
enough,
they didn't
though.
have to.
Yeah.
They didn't tell him that. They
It's-
just eliminated him in round 2.
What they should have done, what they
They
should
should have,
do,
would have, could have. It's too late.
no, they should bring you back and let you do your another act. That's what they should do.
What
It's
for?
a minute and a half.
No, they already saw my act.
I know. I want them to see it again.
You know, and I'm so happy I got this email from Craig.
Okay, well, that's
I'm going to have to
good.
call him up. He was eliminated.
I'm glad.
Piece of shit. He stole the whole thing. He stole the globe I use. He stole the tape measure I use. He stole the crystal that I throw up in the air. He stole the whole goddamn thing. He thought he was going to get away with this.
Yeah, it's it was so clear.
It's over. It's over
so
now.
The
He
the
put
defense
down-
of great minds think alike or anything. There's no
He
possibility.
got eliminated.
Yeah. Yep.
Eliminated in the second round. The first one, Harry passed him. The second one, he got eliminated. I knew he was gonna. I knew they were getting pressure on them. AGT was getting pressure on them because people were saying how much of a thief this guy is.
Well, listen, for people that have watched the show for any number of years, you were on what? Was it 4 years ago? It wasn't that long ago.
I think 7 years ago.
7. Anyway, people that have followed the show certainly knew, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if they got many, many complaints.
Oh, I'm so happy about that. I'm not happy. It's not because he stole it and he's going to go. I'm happy he got eliminated and they found out what a phony he is.
Yeah. And you know something, I suggested this when I heard it the first time, and I wondered whether or not they were doing this to build up a little controversy to get more promotion for the show. because I'm absolutely incredulous that they didn't notice that they were identical. Somebody there had to be some. Well, Howie was on, and what's her name? Heidi. I think Heidi Klum, was she on too?
No, Sharon was on when I was on. Sharon,
Stone. No.
who?
Yeah. No. Who? Osborne.
Sharon Osbourne was on when I was on. Howie and Pierce Morgan.
Yes. Yep. So, Chips, what else is coming up for you that you'd like to talk about? Anything?
Well, that's all.
Okay.
I'd like to see something happen with the Gong Show next Tuesday. Let's see what happens.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I started to say, I remember Chuck Barris, and I don't know what it was with him, probably cocaine, but he was manic.
It was just his hat. His hat aggravated me. Why he was hiding his eyes. I didn't like that. Just like I never watched MASH. I can't stand it.
Because of the hats?
In MASH, they're always wisecracking. Every 5 words out of their mouth is a wisecrack. Always joking. So I never watched the show. I didn't like it. And I still don't like it.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's just too many wisecracks at Alan Alden. He wrote it. Everybody's got a wisecrack coming out of their mouth. There's nothing. It's nothing serious. I mean, seriously funny.
Well, it was
just a wisecrack that's corny.
They were trying to make a political statement about war, and
Well, they made it work and ran 14 seasons.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Take that away.
But you remind me of a funny story. I told the story earlier on. My father was captured in World War II. He was made a Nazi slave laborer, and he escaped. But anyway, when I was a kid growing up, his favorite show was Hogan's Heroes, and I never understood how he could enjoy watching the show about a prisoner of war camp. He actually didn't have a prisoner of war camp. He was sleeping alongside the road, but he always that was his favorite show. I don't know why I thought of that, but anyway. So of all the characters you've ever done, Chips, do you have a favorite?
Well, I like doing the Godmother.
I remember her too.
I like doing the Godmother because nobody does the Godmother. They all do the Godfather. Why didn't they think about the Godmother? The Godmother was in the movie. You maybe saw her a few times. She never talked. She always had a black dress on. He never took her out anywhere. So I do the Godmother complaining. And that's why it works.
Oh, excuse me.
Because nobody does her. So far, nobody stole her anyway.
And listen, without the Godmother, what would Godfather have eaten? Excuse me, I've got to give a note to somebody that we're expecting. I'm expecting a call.
Go ahead.
Chips.
You got somebody coming on and you said 10:20?
Yeah, no, listen. When we get the call, we've got to take this. This is actually Francesco Palladino, who's going to be the host of our show this coming Thursday night at the Old Canal Inn, your place. Anyway, he's going to call in to promote the show, and we got to do it. Tom and I are both on that show, so we got to give him an opportunity. But until he calls in, it's still me and you, Chip. So,
okay,
the Godmother.
That's what I like it, because nobody does the Godmother. Such a famous movie. One of the best movies ever made.
Did you put cotton in your mouth for her?
Yeah, sure. She even looks like him. They've been married so long.
I know. I think you did that on our show. Or you did you
I
do that in your act
did.
too?
Yeah, I'm sure I did it.
But I've seen you, many times. So.
I'm sure I did it on your show. That was a fun show. What's his name? Let me come up every week and do any character I wanted to.
And you'd ad lib and you'd come up with a character on the spot and you'd just go into character and you'd be whatever. I remember I think you were Buzz Aldrin's brother, and you were supposed to be the first man to walk on the moon. That was one.
Yeah. Then I did Then I did Charles Manson's Best Man. Remember that? I came out. I had the sleeves cut out, my arms showing. Had a little lisp, but not overly done. I was his best man, and I had fun doing that.
And we did something with Roy Rogers. I don't know if you weren't Trigger. You wouldn't have played a horse.
No, I wouldn't have played a horse. I don't remember doing Roy Rogers.
I thought we did something like that. No.
There was off the wall stuff. Come on, how many guys do the sandal salesman of the 12 disciples?
That was great. And they were wonderful sandals too.
Sure, they all did back then. It wasn't making fun of the Lord or anything. And now, since comics, since this guy stole my act, it made me come up with something else. Jesus, his scriptures. Somebody stole one of his scriptures. and James came up to him, and Jesus said, "Why art thou so gloomy, James?" Lord, you're not going to believe this. I don't know how to tell you. I was down by the Sea of Galilee. And Peter was doing a sermon, and he did one of your scriptures. Oh, this is terrible. It's hard to believe. Which one did he do? He did Let He Who Has Not Sinned Cast the First Stone. Oh, that was one of my favorites. What else? Search and you shall find. That's even more of my. I can't believe he stole my scriptures. And you got to be careful with religious jokes. But I'm not making fun.
No.
I'm just, he stole Jesus' scripture.
That's really funny. People can feel intent in your humor too. I was speaking at I guess it was an Elks Lodge, and I didn't know this, but the Elks were among the community organizations that raised money to put the Ten Commandments up on all the the government buildings around the country.
Uh-huh.
So I made fun of some of the Ten Commandments. I said, they've got to update the language so people understand. Like instead of "don't covet your neighbor's wife," you should make it, "No, you can't hit that." And instead of "thou shalt not kill," dude, you can't cap that ass. Something like that. Cap that head.
Well, I do one Jewish joke, but I never do it on the stage. I think it's funny, but
okay, well, you can try it. Give me a try, Chip. So I'll let you know.
A Jewish man, hit the multi-million-dollar lottery. Jewish man, multi-million. He buys a mansion. It's got a pool, servants, the whole works, everything. He invites his friend over. He says, and his friend says, "Oh, this is beautiful." He says, "Well, why do you have the statue of Adolf Hitler over there for?" He said, "Well, he's the one who gave me the numbers."
Chips, don't do that in a temple.
I'm not. I don't do it. I don't know. I didn't make it up. I don't know.
Jews are really sensitive about stuff like that. So
sure.
I'll just tell you.
Sure. I just thought it was funny that he played the numbers. What a jerk. But he won the lottery. He won the lottery by playing those numbers he had on him. I guess if you have nothing to lose and you're a gambler, let me try these numbers. What the heck do I got to lose?
Yeah. Well,
and he plays the numbers that he had on his arm, and they came in.
There's a just dessert in that somehow.
Yeah. But let's forget about that one.
Yeah, I did like Holocaust-related stuff last night because because my father was a slave. That's how I opened. In the middle of my set, I opened. I got distracted by talking to an audience, but that was the opening for my set. My father was a slave. So I'm looking forward to working more on that. That'll be interesting. So we don't have a call coming in? Okay, well, This is the entertainment world, people. You gotta move. You gotta shuffle. You gotta keep up. Good. I get to talk more with Chips. Um, let's
Go
see.
ahead.
Let's see. What else can we talk about? Um, oh, I did want to ask you, because I've run into this not infrequently, and now that I've been in comedy for a while, unfortunately, comics come to me and because they know I have a master's degree in psychology. It's not that kind of psychology, but they tell me stuff. Anyway, so I've heard more than once from a comic who's very discouraged nowadays of moving on in comedy. And I wonder if in your many years you've run into artists that got discouraged for whatever reason and came to you to get advice.
Nobody ever came to me for advice.
Lucky you.
Nobody.
What would the Godmother's advice be to somebody not sure if they want to continue on in comedy?
The godmother?
Yeah, what would the Godmother? How would she advise a comic?
Just stay close to your family. Go to church every day and say one rosary.
That's it. I don't know any
Godmother was very
rosaries.
religious.
I'm lost. I don't know any rosaries. So,
The godmother was religious, very religious.
you ever
You know,
met the guy?
Italian,
Oh,
Italian from the old country.
my ex was Italian, and I went to Italy a few times, and I saw the old country, and yeah, and yeah,
Back then-
they take
back
God
then-
really serious there.
Well, back then, the old days, the Italian mothers weren't allowed to do anything, just cook.
Yep.
You seen The Godfather?
Oh yeah.
Godfather 2, all she was doing was cooking, never ask any questions.
Yep.
So now she freaked out a little bit. She flipped. Now she's out there talking. That she was never taken anywhere. And same black dress on for 20 years.
And now
Never
you
even
want to
bought
be
a
a comedian? You ever get?
Huh?
Does the Godmother ever get angry at the Godfather for wanting to be a comedian?
Oh, I didn't get into that yet. Tonight was the first time I did The Godfather.
Okay, well, it's just something to think about. I can see
Yeah,
the
I get-
Godmother
you
coming
know.
after, threatening, beating him, with a cannoli or something. I don't know.
Oh, I'll see. I'll feel it out.
Anyway,
That's
Chips,
all.
listen, we're near the end of our time. We've got to wrap it up in a couple minutes, so I'm just going to remind people
Okay.
a couple little promotional items. Tom Mongelli and I will both be appearing at the Old Canal Inn this Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Please come out, Nutley, New Jersey. Anyone
That's
interested?
number 2, Passaic Avenue.
Passaic Avenue, East Passaic, right? Something. Anyway, they'll with Google they'll find it.
Yes, East Passaic.
So that's number one. Number two, for those of you who love comedy or want to explore your comedy side, Chips Cooney is teaching an improv class Sunday, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Old Canal Inn in Nutley.
Every
It's 25
Sunday. Every Sunday unless posted.
And every Sunday, so look on Facebook, I guess. By the way, Chips, please make me your Facebook friend so I can...
Didn't I do
we
that?
no, I don't think. I'll try again. Anyway, this way I can share your stuff. Number two.
Okay. All right.
And then, really important, this coming Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on ABC, please watch my friend, brilliant comic who you must see, Chips Cooney.
On the Gong Show.
On the Gong Show. And I also want to shout out to Francesco Palladino. Francesco, if you were listening and tried to call in, I'm sorry. We were having their phone system is messed up, and it might anyway. I promoted the show for you. Lawrence Marino from Gnome Promotions.com is co-producer of the show coming up at Nutley. I think that's it. Oh, next week. next show of ours, August 14th, John Poveromo, a wonderful comic. I've had the privilege of working with him, and we're gonna look forward to a nice chat with him. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Chips Cooney. Give yourself a bow.
Thank you so much. Thank
Chips,
you.
it's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Doug.
I really loved it. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right.
Talk to you later. And we are off.
Okay. Thank you, Doug.
It's good talk. Bye.
Now, how do I shut this?